Hi, I'm Psiman and welcome to the first in what I hope will become a series of gaming and tech news roundups. And for this first episode, I'm going to focus on the last 4 weeks, the entire month of February 2019. But in the future, if this proves popular, I'll try to do one every week because there's so much news that happens in that kind of time span that even a week, there's a lot going on. But what I've decided to do for this episode is just pick out 7 stories that have caught my eye over the last 4 weeks that I think will be of interest to you as well. So that first story actually focuses on virtual reality and Steam VR to be precise. At the beginning of February, Valve released information regarding the number of VR users on its platform, and it showed the effects of what had happened due to the increased number of sales over the holiday period. And as it stands, nearly 1% of all Steam users have a VR headset connected. And that means about 1 million users total. Of that, 47% of that million are Oculus Rift users, closely followed by HTC Vive users, taking up about 40% of the total. So it's actually the increase in the percentage that's attracted my attention, and in the month of January we saw the biggest rise in percentage of VR users. And the trend has continued strongly since the launch of consumer VR headsets back in March and April of 2016. So it's good news. The ecosystem is going from strength to strength. And as someone like myself who loves VR and VR gaming, it means that developers are going to be more inclined to port titles to VR or build games from the ground up for that platform. So the future's looking pretty bright. The second thing that caught my attention over the last 4 weeks was some news from the world's most popular video game, that is Fortnite, or at least it currently seems to be the world's most popular video game. I'm not a Fortnite fan. I've only played it a couple of times and it's not really my cup of tea. As much as I love battle royale shooters, I don't really enjoy third-person perspective battle royale shooters. But they did something on the 2nd of February that got me to thinking about the future of virtual entertainment. What Epic did was host a short 10-minute EDM concert DJ'd by DJ Marshmello, who, to be honest, I had never heard of, but apparently quite a big name in that genre of music. But this concert of sorts attracted 10 million players or 10 million viewers. And it got me to thinking this could be a potential way to have entertainment of this sort in the future. I mean, could you imagine popping on a VR headset and being able to attend a concert of any of your favourite artists? And all right, it's not going to match being there, but surely it's going to be more interesting than just watching it on a YouTube video. So something to think about for the future, VR concerts. There's a nice article about it on the road to VR, so I've linked that down in the description below if you want to know a bit more about what happened. And on to the third story, and that relates to one of my favourite games of the past 12 months and a surprise release on the 4th of February, Apex Legends. And this is Respawn's attempt to capture a slice of this very popular battle royale shooter market. And it came out of nowhere. As far as I'm aware, very few people knew this was coming. They made no marketing announcements. There was no hype train leading up to it. It just dropped on the 4th of February and within hours there were already millions of people signed up to playing it, and within a week 25 million unique players, with as much as 2 million of those all playing concurrently. So very exciting, another competitor in the Battle Royale game space. And if you'd like to know more about it, well, I've just made a video about the game, which you can check out, a link to that in the description down below. The fourth article that caught my eye, or the fourth story that caught my eye over this month, was a hardware related piece of news, and that's the launch of AMD's Radeon 7 graphics card. But unfortunately, it caught my attention for the wrong reasons. I was really hoping that AMD would bring a competitor to the high-end graphics card space, but it seems that all they've managed to do is bring out something that can compete more or less with what Nvidia offered nearly 2 years ago. So the Radeon 7 competes pretty well with both Nvidia's GTX 1080 Ti and their current RTX 2080. The problem with this is that it's the same price. $699, so that was what the GTX 1080 launched at nearly 2 years ago, and that's the price that the current RTX 2080 sells for, at least the lower spec models in that range. So I was really hoping that if AMD were bringing out something that was on par with what Nvidia have managed to produce, then they would slash the prices like they've done with the Ryzen chips in the CPU market, bringing in something that can really compete very well with what Intel has to offer, but at a lower price point. In fact, it's pretty bad news, because when I checked on ebuyer.com, I found that I could pick up today a Radeon 7 for £699. Okay, but I could get the cheapest RTX 2080 for about £60 less, at £638, I think it was. So it's almost 10% difference in price for a card that quite often outcompetes the Radeon card. So it's really quite disappointing. If you want to see how these cards stack up, I'd recommend checking out Tom's Hardware's article on their ranking of all of the graphics cards that are available today. So worth checking out. There'll be a link in the description for that. The fifth story is something that brings us back to VR, but this time it's VR gaming. And well, it's actually a mobile game that has been brought into VR, and not just projected in VR as a flat screen, a reimagining of the game, and that is Angry Birds VR. Now, if you're like me, you've played a bit of Angry Birds over the years. I really enjoyed it when it first came out. It's a fun, charming little title, and I was really pleased to see that it's finally arrived in virtual reality. And it's not just the same flat 2D world. Well, obviously, it's taken the Angry Birds and put them into a 3D style game where the construction that you have to demolish with the birds can be moved around and attacked from many different angles. I haven't played it myself. It's on my list of games to buy when I've got a little bit of spare cash. I think it's about £15. I will be picking that up in the near future, because I think there's a few hours of fun to be had with that one. And the sixth story that I'd like to bring to your attention from the month of February 2019 was the announcement of a very high-end virtual reality headset. A Finnish company called Varjo, which means shade or shadow, have released a super high resolution headset, or at least a portion of your image is super high resolution. And what they've done is produce two screens in one for each eye. So what you'll be seeing, as you can see in this image here, is a very high resolution center portion by a still decent resolution peripheral vision section of it. So to give it some comparisons, the peripheral section is rendered at the same sort of resolution as an HTC Vive Pro, with the center being like a high-def panel but miniaturized down to a very small size, so you get a really high pixel density. Now, the sticking point here for those of us that would want one is the price. It's going to be $6,000 plus $1,000 a year to use the software service to be able to use it. Now, obviously, they're not targeting the likes of me or probably you. It's going to be for enterprise, business, and for engineering, construction, design, people that need to have that very high resolution for the things they're working on, where there's a lot of text and detail that needs to be seen. But it's promising news for what's going to be coming in the future for consumer headsets. So this is quite a novel approach to increasing the resolution of headsets without the graphical overhead that would be needed if the whole thing was at that ultra high resolution. So the future of VR, as I said earlier, is looking very bright. So on to the last story for the month of February, and it's normal gaming. It's not VR. It's a title that I think a lot of people were hotly anticipating, EA and BioWare's Anthem. And unfortunately, it's come under quite a lot of criticism for lacking in its mission originality, having a lot of bugs, which often plagues game launches, but when you think this has been delayed, you'd hope that those bugs would be ironed out. And personally, I have not been interested in buying this game, and that surprises me, because one of the ways in which this game has been pitched is that it's like playing as Iron Man, and Iron Man is my favourite Marvel character, so surely I should be the target audience for this game. But you know, I saw the reveal at E3 and thought it looked beautiful, and the finished product is impressive from a graphical standpoint, and apparently it's a lot of fun to traverse the environment, and you get, you know, a good couple of hours of novelty and enjoyment from doing that. But as a complete game, it hasn't quite captured my imagination, and it might be that I'm a subscriber to Origin, and I know that it will appear probably a year down the line, so I wouldn't have to pay any more money to play the game, but I'm just not in a rush to play it. And obviously with the mediocre reviews that are coming out for it, it certainly doesn't encourage me to purchase it at this point. Who knows, as with other games, when the bugs are ironed out and more content is added, it could become a fantastic title, and maybe a year from now, Anthem will be my favourite game. I doubt it, but who knows? Stranger things have happened. So that brings us to the end of this short news roundup video for the month of February 2019. As always, I really appreciate your feedback, so let me know what you think about news videos and whether you would like to see more of these in future on a weekly basis. Also, what stories would you have included in this? What have I missed? I'm sure there are lots of stories that have passed me by. There's so much news happening in the world of gaming and tech. So, thanks for watching. From my games room to wherever you are, this is Psiman signing off. Bye bye.